and they just cuss you out. They're like, "Why is this always broke?" And even though we know from as mature, as more mature, I'm not going to say mature. I'm going to say more mature than we used to be.
Maturing.
Yeah, we know it's coming from a state of anger. It's not really what they mean. But before you became a Christian, how would you have handled that?
In this state and time, I would say probably I would be more reactive than proactive. When we don't know how to act, when we don't know how to respond and walk in love as we're taught to do, we tend to react. We tend to go with our emotions rather than our heart. But, our heart and our emotions are sort of intertwined, but you get what I'm trying to say there, right?
Absolutely.
But, it depends. When I was, years ago, I guess 15, 20 years ago, if somebody were to come to me and blow up or something like that, like, it's all your fault. I've always been pretty good about being peaceable, but when I was younger, I probably had a shorter fuse and less patience because I wanted results then and there. So,
Absolutely. Um, so Terry on YouTube has made a comment saying also Colossians 1:28, and that reads, "Him we proclaim, warning everyone and teaching everyone with all wisdom, that we may present everyone mature in Christ." That sounds a whole lot like brotherly growing up together. um, but you're right, Seth. Before we become Christians, we just like to fly off at the mouth. We don't think before we act, right?
mm-hmm.
But think about think about how many times in our study of Luke did we see the Pharisees try to get under Jesus' skin, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many times did he had an opportunity? He could have went off the rails, and he's
Yeah.
God, right? He could have just like disappeared. You're done, but he didn't do that because he was what? Meek. What is meekness, Seth?
It's meek is very simple. There's nothing. Let me look this up. Let me get a definite definition for it. I know what I think meek is, but I want to get.
Well,
It says quiet, gentle, easily imposed on, submissive.
submissive. I like that
Submissive.
word.
Ooh, that's a hard one, isn't it?
It is. So, in a nutshell, meek is humbleness, but having power under control.
Yep.
Jesus had all the power. He could have taken those Pharisees to town if he wanted to, but he didn't. Right? That's a country boy word out to town.
So, in my current status, could have taken them to the dock, is what we called them.
Yes. Yeah, I like J Nom's comment there. Imagine if Jesus flew off the handle. Yikes. Yeah. Hey, we saw what he did to the money changers in the temple, right? He was justified in that.
Yeah.
You imagine what he'd done what he could do if he used his entire power, right?
Right. If he could speak things into existence. Can you imagine what it was like? Dead, judged. You're an elephant, just like
exactly.
He could have done that. That's wild to think about,
It is. It is. And think about that. No other God has, in the history of time, I know we're getting off topic here a little bit, but I think it fits. No other God has ever been that way, right? They never had their power in control. First off, they all didn't have any power. It was all superficial anyways.
Mm-hmm.
But here's God in the flesh. He has the power of all things, and he chooses to do what? Love people.
Mm-hmm.
Bend over backwards for them. Be broken for them. Wow, that almost makes me tear up thinking about that, Seth.
And provide a way, brother. Provide the way.
So through Christ, we learn how to mature, right? He sets the example for us.